Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to this channel, my name is Chantal Casal, and my channel is about everything love, marriage, and travel. Me and my husband are newlyweds. We just got married January 2nd of this year, and we created this channel to share with you guys our stages of marriage as we go through them. If you're excited or interested to see our progress as it relates to being married and happy, stay tuned to this channel. Like, share, subscribe, leave your comments below. We love to hear from you guys. But let's get started on this video. So today's video is going to be about how to keep a healthy marriage when you're miles apart. For those of you who don't know, my husband and I have been separated, not separated, but living separate for about a year. It's going to be a year, I think, in August or July, one of those 2 months. And my husband is in the military. He's in the Navy. We were living in Florida, and we happened to get orders to Virginia. But at the time, I was a student, and I was coming into my last semester of college, and I really didn't feel comfortable transferring my credits. Any of you who's taken a college class, you know how it is with you transfer your credits. They may or may not accept it, and you might have to do classes over again. So we decided to just live apart for the time being. So me and my daughter stayed back in Florida, and my husband moved to Virginia. Now, over the course of those months where he was actually here on land, because right now he's on deployment, but I'll get to that in a bit, we traveled back and forth to see each other. So we spent all the holidays together. He came to Florida just to visit for like a week or something like that. And obviously we've been calling, like we've, been able to call, text, FaceTime, and all that great stuff. But that was hard. It got even harder in January, like a few days after we got married, he left for deployment. So our communication kind of got a little bit more restrictive. Obviously we can't FaceTime. He can call me, but not as much as 3 or 4 times a day. We can't text. We can email, but it just got a lot harder to communicate when he went on deployment. So we have talked, and me and my husband put together some tips that we think will be able to help you guys. And this is whether, he's on deployment, but maybe your spouse is just, with their job, they travel every weekend or something like that, and you want to stay connected in the times when you guys are apart. These tips are for any situation, a broad spectrum of situations. So let's get started on the tips. The first tip that I have for you guys is communication is key. Now, of course, everybody says that, but I am telling you, it's true. It does take practice though. I am a talker. Everybody who knows me knows I love to talk. And it actually is my number one way of feeling connected to my husband. I love talking to him. I love picking his brain, which I know people don't like when you say that, but I love picking his brain. I love knowing how he feels. I love to talk about emotions and all that great stuff. I love to talk about emotions, and I love to talk about all of those intimate things that people don't normally like to talk about. But when he left for deployment, it got harder to communicate. So I made it my mission to be more intentional about what we spoke about when we spoke, if that makes sense. So for instance, instead of just getting on the phone and just like, well, how's your day? Oh, well, my, same old same, and kind of having those like random conversations, the one that everybody has, just to say you spoke to someone, I would start asking questions. And of course, I didn't just always know what questions to ask. Some questions I just like happened to, like, I don't know, maybe I was doing something and I heard something on the radio, I was listening to a podcast, and I would tell him the situation and ask him his perspective on it, because I thought it was kind of cool. And that was as it relates to marriage or being in a relationship. And then it went from there, and then I started Googling like spontaneous or like questions, conversation starters to ask your spouse and stuff like that. And I found this awesome website that I actually used. It was so much fun. He loved the questions, I loved the questions, and it was things that you wouldn't normally think to ask. So that was pretty cool. Like, I don't know, who was your favorite teacher in high school? Or if you could be the opposite gender for a day, what would you do? Like just crazy stuff like that. That kind of made the conversation fun and quirky and just that lightened the mood, and it just made it it was just fun, and it was just something to talk about, you know? So I did a lot of that before we spoke. Right now though, like I haven't done that lately because we have a lot of things to talk about. We're trying to move. I moved out here to Virginia, so that's where I'm at right now. And my husband's on the boat, but we're trying to find a place. So like every time we talk, there's not a moment of silence anywhere. Like it's so much stress with everything going on. The quarantine is just a lot. So we have much to talk about now, but in the time when it just felt like, okay, well, you know, my day is just the same or his day is just the same, those questions were just heaven sent, you know, like they were just amazing conversation starters. So if you're like me, if you like to talk, if you like to have meaningful conversations, and it doesn't have to be anything like super serious, just something fun, lighthearted, kind of cool, because when you talk to your spouse, you know, like you want to have fun with it. Check those out. I'll actually link the website that I found for the questions down below, so check that out and let me know what you think about those questions. I'm telling you, you're gonna love them. The next tip that I have for you guys is that you kind of have to get over the little things, and like I'm not joking, like you have to get over the little things, because it's just not worth it. You know, when you're miles apart, whenever you do speak, you guys, you know, you want it to be happy moments, playful moments, lighthearted moments, funny moments, laughable moments. You don't want to be upset with your partner. You don't want to be, you know, feeling like, oh my goodness, I just want to wring his or her neck, you know, which of course that happens, but the less it happens, the better, right? So for us, because I knew that my husband would be going on deployment, I knew what that could entail. I knew that it was a possibility. I could go weeks without talking to him, days without talking to him. I didn't really know. I knew that there was so much unexpected when it came to our communication, that before he left, I started to kind of put in the back of my mind, okay, well, you kind of need to get into the mode of not that I couldn't get angry, but if I'm angry, don't revert to my old ways, which is don't look at me when I'm mad at you. Don't touch me, don't smell me, don't do anything. Like, don't be near me. Like, if I'm upset, I could be petty, right? So I knew I couldn't do that when he left for deployment. Like, there was no way to be petty. Well, there are ways, but I didn't want to do that because I didn't know the next time my husband was going to call me. So if I got upset on a phone call and hung up, like, I might not talk to him for a few weeks, you know? And seriously, deployments are dangerous. Like, they are. Anything could happen to him. Anything could happen to us. It's just not a good idea. So with that in the back of my mind, knowing that, okay, I would kind of have to get into the mode of, like, finding a way to get over the argument or letting stuff pass, stop holding grudges and stuff like that, I started doing that little by little while he was here. So we were still living separate, but while he was actually in Virginia and on land, I started doing that. You know, I was upset, but I wouldn't hold a grudge and stuff like that. And it progressed as the time went on and when he went on deployment. And that's not to say I don't get mad. I get mad all the time. But now when I get mad, I'm just like, oh, I'm so mad, I just want to hang up the phone on you. And that's like my cue to let him know you're really getting on my nerves. So this conversation is really irritating me. Let's change the subject. Let's come back to it. Let's calm down first. And it's times when I never hang up on him and vice versa. Like, we never hang up on each other or anything like that. But there is times where I still need that cool down period, and I can't just let things go. And so what actually helps is the distance, because once we actually hang up and I think about what part I played, what part he played, that gives me time to sit on what actually happened. And then I'll start to feel bad. Like, well, dang, you know, I ain't have to say that. Or, you know, his point was actually true. I was just in my feelings and I didn't like what he said, or maybe how he said it, or even the fact that he's checking me on something, because I don't like to be checked. Don't be coming over here checking me, right? No one likes to be checked. So, and that makes me very defensive. Like, no. So, and then that time, that day, or whatever it is, until the next time we talk, on the phone, you know, I have that time to actually cool off. And so what ends up happening anyway, which it never goes like 2 days or anything. It doesn't even go like 24 hours. In the next few hours, I'm either sending him an email like, you know, about what I said, you know, I didn't really mean it, you know, like I'm apologizing or he's apologizing, you know. So that time, that break, that space away does give us that time to actually cool down and really, really think. So that's tip number 2. Okay, so tip number 3 is to make each other feel included in each other's lives. So obviously we're married, we are building a life together, but right now we are living separately. So we do have separate lives to some extent, right? I'm living my life over here, he's living his life over there. And so it's important to make each other feel included. So just a little bit more information about what's been going on this past year. We have a daughter, she's about to be 6. And in the duration or in the time span that my husband has been away, including like the whole time, deployment and before deployment when he moved to Virginia, Kylie, that's my daughter, has been going through a lot. She lost her first tooth, and since then she's just been dropping teeth like I don't even know what. Like my pockets are just thinning out because of this little girl and her teeth. But yeah, so she's lost her first tooth, and you know, my husband missed that. She started kindergarten, she graduated from kindergarten, she had a surgery last year, and she's about to turn 6, like I said, which actually is in 2 weeks. So he's missing all of this stuff. But you know, of course, because he's not here, it is my job to make both of them feel like neither one of them is missing out. When Kylie lost her first tooth, he was the first one to know about it. He got pictures. We, you know, of course we kept the tooth. We talked about the tooth fairy. We, you know, he spoke to Kylie, you know, he was so excited. And same thing with kindergarten, you know, he spoke to her. I gave him pictures. I sent him voicemails and voice notes and all that great stuff. When she started kindergarten and lost her first tooth, he was still here. He was in Virginia. He wasn't in the water, so he was there for all that. So he's able to FaceTime, and oh my goodness, he was so excited. And Kylie was like, oh my god, you know, Poppy loves me. And you know, so on both ends they felt very neither one of them felt neglected, you know what I mean? Like he felt included. Kylie felt like, oh my goodness, Poppy didn't forget about me. He didn't forget about my special moment. By the way, my husband is from Ecuador. He is Spanish, so my daughter calls him Poppy. And then the same thing goes for like us, you know, anything that happens in my day, of course he's the first one to know about it. Any kind of like, just anything important, any things that are not even relevant, because sometimes it's irrelevant for me, but that's something he would have wanted to know, and then vice versa. So he tells me everything that's going on in his day. I ask him for advice, he asks me for advice. And we just really keep up with each other's day to day. And that is very important for us, you know, because I think it's especially because we have kids. So if you have kids, it's going to be extremely important that you guys keep up to date with the kids' stuff. And the kids feel that, you know, they know that the parent that's gone every now and again is up to date on their stuff and just so excited and not really missing anything. But then also too, when you have kids, you have to make sure everything that you guys talk about is not just about the kids. Make sure you are telling your husband or your wife about your day. Tell them that you miss them and you love them, and oh my goodness, you can't wait to see them, and ooh, what you gonna do to them when you do see them, right? All of that is important. And that brings me to my next and last tip. So the last tip that I have for you guys is keeping the romance alive. It is extremely important, right? Everybody wants to feel wanted. You want to feel like you are the bomb.com, right? I have a list here of just some of the things my husband and I actually have done and some of the things we haven't done. But I do have a list of some things that I'm about to share with you guys in a minute. And so I just want you guys to keep an open mind. Everything is not for everybody, which is okay. Just keep an open mind. And then also too, whatever works for you in your marriage, right? So if it's something that I say on this list and you're like, oh, my husband would never go for that, well, you already know your husband, or your wife might never go for that. You already know your wife. And I don't think anything I'm saying is something that we haven't already heard. So let's get started on the list. The first thing on the list to keeping the romance alive is sex toys. You know them, you heard of them. Some of you guys like them, some of you guys don't. But over the years, sex toys have evolved. I mean, like, if you go to a sex store, you're gonna see things you haven't seen. Like, you're gonna be like, what is this for? And I'm telling you, it's like crazy. But one of the things we saw was it was like a remote controlled panty. The panty and the remote, like, you guys can be miles apart and use it. So my husband could be here in Virginia and I could have been in Florida. He uses the remote and I'll just wear the panty with the bullet on it, and then, you know, he presses the buttons and the vibration happens, and it kind of like gives you guys like something to play off of, right? It's kind of fun, and it's like a little it's like a teaser, right? So and I don't know, I feel like everybody loves a good teaser. We didn't end up getting that panty and thing, so I don't actually have no like any reviews for it or anything like that, but I do want to try it in the future. So if I ever do try it, I'll let you guys know how it was. Another suggestion would be exotic stories. So I actually got this idea from my sister, who writes, like, she has written a series of exotic stories. She's actually putting together a book, and I will actually put the link for her website down below so you could check out some of her exotic stories. Like, they're amazing. So she gave me the idea, and I came up with an exotic story. I sent that to my husband via email, and that was a good one. I only did it once though, because like it took me a long time to write. It was very good. He liked it. I might actually send him another one soon. So that's another thing you guys can do. Oh, by the way, my sister's name is Gabrielle Hylton. Check her out. The next tip that I have for you guys is send pictures, right? So my husband loves to see pictures of me, of course, and I love to see pictures of him, but unfortunately this is a one-way street. He can't just be sending me pictures on the boat. So you can send pictures of yourself, and it doesn't have to be like full nudes or anything like that. It could be just very seductive pictures. If you're feeling good that day, send a nice little cute picture of yourself. Remind your husband of what he's missing when he's away, you know, like, or what he has to look forward to when he comes back home. You can send like your cleavage pictures. You can send yourself in a nice bikini. If you do like them full-on nudes, send those. But pictures can range. It doesn't have to be like all raunchy and stuff. It could be very sensual and sexual and stuff like that, or seductive without the raunchiness. So figure out whatever your comfort level is, and if that is something that you guys would like to do, if it's something that your husband would like to see or your wife would like to see, go ahead and set up a day, a night, whatever. Take some time out, get yourself together, and take those pictures and go ahead and send them and see what their response is going to be, especially if they don't know they're coming. That's a nice little treat. And the next tip that I have for you guys is to write a love letter. Like, love letters are so sweet and romantic, especially if you're more of the romantic type and not really like willing to take nude pictures or something like that, but you still want to show your love or express your love or express your want for your partner. Love letters are a great way to do that. So those are the tips that I have for you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to check out my sister, which I'm going to link down below for those exotic stories. I'm also going to input her panhandles on all of her social platforms. Her name is Gabrielle Hylton, so don't forget to do that. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.